say something about Nexions. Now, a Nexion is a intersecting point. And this could be of various types. But in order for it to be a Temple of Blood Nexion, it has to, contain certain features. Now, we can bounce it off the typical 5 ways of real world or practical deeds of culling. Now, we could say refining or sifting to broaden the scope of it. We have the code of kindred honor. And this, of course, primarily means looking out for the order itself. If you're doing your real world deeds and you're not regarding the consequences for yourself and this is the reputation of the Temple of Blood, then, that can create issues in that category. And of course, there's the way of defiance. Because it's not just operating different modes that a person should get into, it's realizing that there are things to oppose and actively working as part of it. And there's the path of empathy. It's not about some seasonal or weekly or daily schedule as much as developing a sense of empathy. People say a wordless knowing, but it's through having certain abilities that come your way. Now, how some hunters will have to lie around even for hours in hiding, people in the military in their spot, even like all day, that sort of thing. So getting into the practice of lying down to the ground and are sitting in the same posture for a long time and all that sort of stuff. Another, what you'd call sensory deprivation methods, then, that helps grant one ability. There's something that I don't hear talked about much, but there's the 3 hours and 33 minutes in the darkness to develop your full night vision. After 3 minutes, you get about a third, another 30 minutes, you get the second third, and after 3 hours and 33 minutes in the darkness, you totally adjust, which is good when you wake up from sleeping to use that ability from being asleep for a few hours when you wake up at night. There's, of course, the narrative that directs these things. It's just not disturbing stories or weird stories or whatever. It's the story has a purpose. And it's not necessarily you acted out the style of what the thing is. There's meaning involved. Because as I said, the practical aspect is that a person connecting their Temple of Blood related practices is building, directing a sort of meaning, a sort of purpose behind it. You find in a lot of the stories stuff in regards to, you look at the Danes and stuff, and then you find out, oh, okay, this on the Tree of Life or the Tree of Weird, as it's typically called, we're not bound like the Order of Nine Angles to only referring to the entities in their system. Any of the, and I don't just mean Drill Sergeant Gray. I mean, whatever the demons and stuff. We involve that cosmology of different sorts. A person can become a living Nexion when when you reach a certain level of experience, you adapt to the practices, and you reach a certain level of experience, and you encounter beings, and not so much a wordless knowing, but there's a sort of communication that goes on. I have my Lizubama chants and stuff like that. But years before that, I had my experience with the 10th Enochian Author. Now, there's a couple things that Aleister Crowley did that you don't have to do. And those two things that I'm thinking of, I didn't do. Again, we're not about following Crowley. We're not about following any particular human leader. We're about getting this connection with the causal beings. But you pass through the abyss, as it's called, at least psychologically, and you sort of reach the other side where things have been culled from your psychology. These identities that we address, that, if you look at the Chariot card of the tarot, those identities are lifted out. You're not your name. You're not your roles. You're not your body. You're not even your mind. And you end up seeing yourself in forms that aren't human, and you end up, well, I mean, you're human. You're incarnated as a human, but when you see yourself as soul, you don't see yourself in that way. And then, of course, just like the insight roles, you bring a consciousness to it. And you operate these movements, you operate this whatever, because people are right wing or left wing, or whether they get that right or not, that's absolutely not really what we're about. We're beyond those things. But like I've said in a couple other videos that weren't really on this Satan and Satanism playlist, that you're incarnating the will that you choose to. Most people, being mundane, are either incarnating some conservative interpretation, and that means liberals too, because they let go of the rules just where they're told to let go of the rules. But we're being direct, not only about our experience, but the path, and it's good to use a bunch of chants and get used to a bunch of mystical techniques and that sort of stuff, but we're not just imagining our way through things. We're breaking through while being here. And there was a question that somebody had in regards to this. You know how I talk about using the energy, the legacy, and the memory? See, whether it's a harsh thing that nature just naturally does, or whether humans have chosen to do this, one can use the power of this. There's talk about Shayateen min al Jinn, particularly Ifrit, that the power of some murder or rape or something to that degree, something happens, or there's some other tragic death, or the locusts come in some area. You can connect to that energy because that energy is naturally opening, and you don't have to waste that thing. Once things happen, it's not that you seek out illegality or something perverted or something in some objective sense, although whatever you do, somebody's going to consider something you do on that category. What you do is you realize the power of that, and you move with that. But yeah, it's that this flag is not necessarily related to just one particular spot. It's to those sort of specific workings. I said you train your mind and your body and all that, but you have the, there's impact. Now, you don't have to, again, it's not about abusing yourself or beating yourself bloody. You have impact, and that impact can help create a state. the diet thing, there's to realize some things, you can switch your diet, totally change your diet, to make yourself stronger, really. But elimination diets, intermittent fasting, various things can be done to train your desires of the drinking and the eating and the sexual desires, and to rechannel those and take them out when it's for the best use of oneself. And Havaxlin Zipti.